Hello and thank you all for watching. This is Manny Sunny Sun for an astrological report. We'll be speaking about Venus between Jupiter and Saturn. If many, or hopefully, have admired the recent conjunction with Venus-Jupiter this month, and no doubt it was less than numerous are those that do contemplate the Saturn located within the square a few degrees of this constellation of Scorpio. It has been a rather quiet time for a moment. It is known much brighter. The planet, the patience and determinations powerfully underpins the current celestial configuration. The complexity of this Venusian aspect was addressed Venus and the King of Heaven. Returning today on this problematic situation between July 3rd and August 15th, during which the time it happens to be the focal point of this square to Saturn-Jupiter, meanwhile activated until mid-September. Only in this difficult situation, we do not understand that Saturn is the key to Jupiter, or to put it in another way, through our behavior, obedience to Saturn. It's the one that purifies us. It opens up the kingdom of Jupiter, who of course favors us. The square to Jupiter Saturn here. We know that these two stars are opposite opposites a priori in their principles. Jupiter opens, socializes, amplifies, expands, offers opportunities, while Saturn of course crystallizes, contracts, isolates, stifles, blocks, frustrates responsibility regularly. But it's not always simple. As though attached to a philosophy, Jupiter pushes us to waste and social trivialities, while it is yet linked to selfishness and many difficulties. With Saturn, the wise promotes inner realization. When they face at home, a number of disturbances are created. With Saturn here, dominates regulation, severity, discipline, binding, packaging, safety, and moral artificial gradient. Jupiter travel, studies, higher philosophical ideals, metaphysical concerns, phase, time barriers, a lack of resources or opportunities. If Jupiter here dominates, worldliness, social ambitions, material, this existence in this world, which is spiritual, destroys the simplicity and discipline. The ease here is clinging to rituals, decorum, the form over substance takes over. So number one, and this is even if no aspect is connected with these two stars in our own personal themes, but if we want to grow in this destiny, we must find balance between our natural compulsory rigor, Saturn, without denying or diminishing our inspiration and confidence in life. Jupiter is here to live for our dreams and incidentally to the circumstances of his personal theme. The site is important for it to understand the dynamics that combines these two stars, and with simultaneously the emergence of their ideal nature. Intelligence is being expressed by patience, natural discipline, structure, depth, and simplicity. Allows this Saturn to Jupiter to manifest positively, mental expansion, exploration of other worlds, and insight in inner worlds, and opportunities and serendipities. The dynamic Jupiter-Saturn aspect. A tense aspect is always a challenge. It always creates conflicts, but it is currently here to teach us the square, the theoretical but also practical understanding of this dynamic aspect. Saturn, doubtless, it is the foundation of spirituality. It takes precedence, but this is not the axiom or belief, but a fact established by generational astrologers. It can also soften or win an understanding, that is to say, to obey the laws of Saturn. But we cannot ignore or bypass. It is always by moment to moment when it imposes its laws. So it needs an ideal structure for the ideal to better grasp this concept, this function, to establish the conditions necessary for the development that represents Jupiter. So waver, sincere, without ulterior motives, as an act purely by Saturnine discretion, demonstrates this mechanism when a certain Jovian opportunity suddenly being encountered, adverse circumstances often give up, and not always. These Saturnian blockages, Jupiter then makes a comeback and delivers what it has to offer as circumstances continue to set up itself as obstacles. In a spiritual context, the renunciation of worldly inclinations with Jupiter, vainglory, ostentatious, taste of ostentation, of ritualism, hierarchy, allows it for us for the best of himself, which is the inner exploration and flowering of being. Saturn on its side requires Jupiter without dreams, inspiration, and the interior kind of heaven. The cold, disciplinarian, conformist, meaningless, sad, and conflicted by threat. Jupiter figures a sense of justice, born intuition, very good intuition. Saturn represents structures and integrity necessary for its implementation. Here, Saturn, the simplicity which is both serene and, of course, renunciation, leads to the realms of the spirit symbolized by the Jupiter as it's being released from its superficial aspects. So Venus in this context, we understand the challenges represented by joint Venus and Jupiter, square to Saturn. In our daily lives, Venus of course returns in search of pleasant sensations to frivolity, sensuality, charm, seduction, grace, love, art, aesthetics, and to subsequently, without forgetting an important part of self-esteem. Venus maintains close links with two bodies that demonstrate its exaltation in Pisces in Jupiter, and Libra, the exaltation of Saturn here. So Venus is perfect with, of course, regulated by Saturn, discharging its overflow of frivolity, sentimentality, and sometimes treacherous, while being ennobled by Jupiter, the joy of loving and giving, and even grace that manifests in this world. So this current configuration can probably be achieved by Jupiter and Venus, opening the hearts of mind and people, but this square to Saturn here inspires temperance, keeping the excess in this pursuit of pleasure. But beware, if the second scenario is most desirable to you, which by no means mandatory, especially a square, which of course creates conflicts, tensions, separations, that sort of thing. That is the thing that is at play. So the tensions between Saturn and Venus point to compulsory, sometimes the potential for restrictions, disappointments in relationships, and suffering of the heart, while the benefits of Jupiter-Venus are easily lost in the amplification of the pursuit of pleasure, leading to all overflows. This brings us to the principle of Venia, already mentioned in the blog. It is desirable to follow Saturn. Temperance tips us to make the most of this configuration, Jupiter-Venus, which offers us more than social reward, sentimental values, or essential things of Jupiter and Venus, with intoxicating invite us to domestic travel, philosophies, spirituality, to discover the beauty and exploration of the heart and secret Venia. The Venia, the gifts God required to seduce them by making his life a work of art. This is primarily to cultivate freedom, the lack of internal authority such as fear, envy, jealousy, and live this natural discipline without constraint. This enables Saturn well assimilated. This then, of course, spiritualizes Venus, which is deep contemplation of beauty. The combination of the two stars, even squared off, is also conducive towards inner meditation and serenity being produced by the proximity of this nature. So Saturn, of course, reveals a foundation that enables Jupiter compassion, spirituality, expansion, favorable opportunities to show Venus, the grace, the Venia, in all its glory. So thank you all for watching. This has been the Venus-Jupiter conjunction squaring off to Saturn. If you have any questions, where exactly I can locate these several planets, don't hesitate to send a comment. I would very much love to hear what you have to say. Thank you for watching.